too slow for spaced training dome of the Intergalactic Academy. Buzzed with the energy of dozens of species, each unique in shape, sound, and movement. They moved with grace and purpose, adjusting equipment, speaking in fast-clipped voices as they prepared for the next simulation. At the far edge of the room stood one human alone. His name was Ryan Mercer, and he was the only Terran cadet in this elite class. His uniform looked the same as the others, but nothing else did. The aliens had sleek limbs or multiple eyes or reflex boosters integrated into their suits. Ryan had none of that. His hands were bare, his breath steady, his eyes calm. But every time he stepped into a simulator or took his place in line, whispers echoed across the dome. They always came from the same direction. Look at the human again. Too slow, barely passed last week's reflex test. How can someone with that kind of nervous system even be here? Ryan heard it all. He said nothing. Instead, he focused on the machine. Before him it was the standard reaction speed drill, the same one all cadets had to pass before the final phase of training. The instructor, a tall insectoid with bright chitinous plates named Instructor Creel, tapped his mandibles together. Cadets, line up. Today's test is critical. We will measure your speed under variable threat simulations. Only the top 3 will move to the advanced battle sim station. Ryan stepped up to the platform. His palms were sweating. The scanner blinked red, ready to begin. He looked around. Others were flexing their limbs, twitching fingers, adjusting helmets. His heart beat calmly. Bajinth simulation exploded into motion. Lights flashed, threats blinked across the screen. Virtual drones dove at his virtual self. Obstacles appeared randomly, and Ryan moved. He tapped, he dodged, he leaned in. But as he did, he noticed something strange. The buttons were oddly spaced. His fingers couldn't move fast enough. The haptic feedback didn't register in time. By the time he reacted, the system had already scored him slow again. Threat hit you too late. When it ended, he stepped back, chest tight. Creel looked at the score. Snaraxi, top score again. Kelvar close second. Ryan Mercer 63rd percentile. Whispers again. Some cadets didn't even hide their laughter. A thin serpent-like creature hissed and leaned close to him as he walked past. He blinked faster than you move, human. Maybe your planet just breeds watchers. Not worry. Orsrian sat alone as others talked, celebrated, prepared for the next phase. His mind swirled. This wasn't fair. He could react fast. He knew he could, but these machines weren't built for him. A shadow fell across his table. Instructor Creel stood there, his mandibles slow, his voice lower than usual. Cadet Mercer, walk with Methy, stepped into a quieter hallway. Creel didn't speak for a long time. Finally he turned and looked at him. Direct liar scores do not match your records. We reviewed Earth's training footage. You've passed harder tests than this, but here your performance is below average. Explain. Ryan hesitated, then nodded. Seer, it's the interface. It's built for longer fingers or multiple limbs. The controls don't match my natural range. I'm adapting, but the time loss kills my response. Creel watched him silently, then nodded once. Do not allow excuses in the academy, but I understand design bias. Tomorrow report to Base 6. We will give you a custom module calibrated to human input. If your scores still suffer, then we'll know the truth. Ryan almost smiled. He didn't, but he nodded firm. Lies Sir back in his bunk. Ryan stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing. Aliens thought humans were slow, maybe because they moved calmly, maybe because their muscles didn't twitch like insect wings, maybe because they didn't rely on boosters or implants. But Earth was not a soft place. It was a death world. Predators, volcanoes, storms every day. Humans had evolved under constant threat. Remembered back home the time his brother almost got hit by a falling tree branch and Ryan caught him mid-fall. Or the time a car skidded toward him and he jumped sideways just in time. His instincts were fast. His reactions were human. Whispered to himself as he closed his eyes. They just haven't seen it yet, and tomorrow they will. Human handicapped. Next morning Ryan stood outside Base 6 alone. The sun of this alien planet was rising in a swirl of blue and orange across the sky, casting long shadows through the academy halls. His hands were steady, but his mind ran wild with thoughts. Today was not just another test. Today he would either prove that humans were not slow, or he would walk away carrying the weight of his species' failure on his shoulders. Door to Base 6 slid open with a soft hiss, and inside stood Instructor Creel, flanked by 2 engineers, both of them from species known for precision and technical expertise. Without speaking, they guided Ryan to the new simulator. It was shaped like the original, but every part of it had been adjusted. The interface glowed with a softer light. The controls were now designed for human physiology, with hand sensors shaped for 5 fingers and no tentacle ports or tail triggers. This model is adapted for Terran neuromuscular response. Instructor Creel said, we will now run the same test protocol under identical threat conditions. You will not be told when it starts. You will simply react as needed. Ryan stepped into the machine, His heart beat once, then twice, then he stopped, noticing everything around him. He let his breath go slow and deep. His fingers settled on the new controls. They felt right then. Without warning, the simulation began. Threads blinked, obstacles flew in. Lights flashed at blinding speed, but this time Ryan moved differently. His body reacted. Like a coil unspooling, he was not thinking, he was moving. His fingers hit the right spots. With precision, his body ducked, turned, blocked, moved. He could almost feel the flow of the simulation, like it was a language his body remembered, but had never been allowed to speak outside. The engineers stared at the readings. One of them whispered something in shock. He is not just performing well, he is outperforming most species. With reflex booster, simulation ended, and the system paused for a moment, calculating. Creel stepped forward, eyes on the display. When it finally blinked green with the final score, the room fell silent. 98% Illyrian stepped out of the simulator, his breathing even, his eyes calm, but his mind raced with fire. He had done it. He knew he had not imagined. His instincts, they were real and powerful. When given the right tools, but the celebration was short-lived. Word spread fast, and with it came resistance. In the training yard, several cadets approached Ryan, their faces unreadable. One of them, a large quadruped named Kelvar, spoke with a low voice. "So, they gave you a custom machine, and now you think you are fast?" That was a friendly simulation human. It was not chaos, not real pressure in real danger. "You would still be Lastrian," met his eyes without backing down. "Then test me under real danger." Kelvar's gaze narrowed, and he turned, walking away, but his voice carried behind him. "Careful what you wish for." Later that day, the Academy Command announced a surprise emergency drill, a live ship malfunction simulation, with unpredictable events meant to test reaction under stress. The cadets would be paired and dropped into training ships to face a cascading systems failure. It was rare and dangerous, but considered the final step in reaction certification. Ryan was assigned a team, but no one volunteered to go with him. Eventually he was paired with a quiet tech specialist from the Mern species, a fragile-looking being named Alu, who simply nodded and followed orders. The ship simulator hummed to life and lifted from the ground. Ryan's hands settled into the human-configured controls. Everything felt right again, but he knew this test would not be about comfort. It would be about instinct. Lights flickered. The voice of the AI came through, cold and precise. Simulation begins now. Power core failing, engine misfire detected, oxygen leak detected, hull breach in 60 seconds. Ryan did not think. He moved. His hands flew across the console, shutting down the misfiring core, stabilizing thrusters, sealing the leak with emergency foam. Alu struggled beside him, trying to keep up, but Ryan spoke calmly. "Hold pressure on the right seal. I'll reboot the system." Suddenly a fire alert blared, and part of the cabin lit with simulated flame. Heat sensors activated, and the room became a blur of movement. Ryan grabbed Alu and rolled them both to the ground, covering them with the heat shield, then lunged back to shut the fire line before it reached the core. The entire simulation lasted under 2 minutes, but when it ended, the entire room was silent. The training ship opened, and smoke drifted out. Ryan stepped down, carrying Alu, whose hands shook not from fear, but from shock. Reel stood there watching the footage again and again, frame by frame. He finally looked up and spoke to the command staff in his own language. One word: repeated. Impossible. Reaction log showed Ryan had moved before the alarm had even finished. Sound instructor Creel turned to the crowd of cadets, his voice loud and clear. Reaction time 0.13 seconds. Under extreme pressure, silence filled the yard. The humans were no longer slow. Let him use his own tools. The silence after the live simulation spread through the Academy like a storm. Every cadet, every instructor, every staff member had seen the footage by now. Some watched it twice, some 3 times. The frame-by-frame breakdowns showed Ryan moving before alarms, before prompts, before visuals even completed their sequence. It was not just fast, it was inhumanly fast. And yet it had come from a human. In the following hours, the halls buzzed with a new kind of energy. It was not the usual mockery or amusement now. It was confusion, disbelief, and for some, it was fear. How did he do that? He must be augmented. No human should react like that. It must be a trick, but there was no trick. The data was clean. The ship logs, the visual feed, even the neural monitor implanted in Ryan's standard issue collar, all confirmed the same truth. Ryan Mercer had the fastest reaction time ever recorded from a biological species in the Academy's history. Instructor Creel reviewed the files again and again in his office, his chitin plates twitching with agitation. He had trained over 100 different species and never seen a result like this. Humans were meant to be the observers, the diplomats, the strategists, not the warriors, not the frontline. He summoned Ryan to his office, and as the young man stepped inside, standing tall but silent, Creel turned to face him. "Your performance cannot be ignored, Cadet Mercer. It challenges assumptions made by thousands of years of data. You have forced us to reconsider human capability. Tyrion said nothing but the others. Do not accept it easily, Creel continued. They say you were given an advantage, a human-designed interface that no other cadet receives. They claim your success is artificial. Rian finally spoke then. Let them test me again under their rules, but let me use the tools made for my biology just like they used their. Creel's mandibles clicked as he considered the Psi wish to compete in the elite reflex gauntlet. The instructor asked, his tone heavy. That trial is not simulation, it is danger, it is pressure, it is speed under unpredictabilities, Ryan said simply. Creel nodded. Very well. We will arrange it. Word spread fast again. The announcement echoed across the training compound. A special entry had been granted. A human was going to face the elite reflex gauntlet, a trial typically reserved for cybernetic cadets, neural-linked species, and hive minds known for ultra-speed processing. No human had ever qualified until now. The gauntlet was legendary, built in the lowest chamber of the Academy. Carved into the rocks of the planet itself, it was filled with hardwired systems that did not respond to commands or override. Once it began, no one could pause it. It was designed to mimic real battlefield chaos missiles without warnings, power shifts, gravity inversions, doors sealing and unsealing, heat surges, light pulses, smoke, and sonic waves. Rian walked toward the chamber alone, his uniform clean, his eyes focused above him. In the gallery, hundreds gathered, not just cadets, but officers and scientists. Even the Academy headmaster was present, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern. He stepped into the entry point, the doors sealed behind him. Creel's voice came through a speaker. Cadet Mercer, you may proceed with your personal configuration. Use of human standard tools approved, no external enhancements allowed. Understood, Ryan replied. The chamber was dark at first, then the lights activated, showing the challenge path. Jagged ramps, spinning barriers, timed laser rays, and high-speed drones that would shoot foam projectiles to simulate real impact. Then the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chamber came alive. The first threat came from the left. A sudden flash and a drone shot at his head. Ryan ducked, moved forward, rolled under. A rotating blade leapt to a platform that began shaking. Immediately a siren screamed, and heat poured from above. He threw himself sideways, catching a ledge. Another drone fired. He twisted mid-air, landing and striking a reset switch behind a hidden panel. The walls began closing in. He slid through the gap, timed it with perfect accuracy. Alarm screamed. Gravity flipped for 5 seconds, and he twisted in freefall, aiming for the only anchor line and grabbing it just before impact. Crowd above gasped at every move, no hesitation, no pause, each movement flowing into the next, as if his body had memorized the chaos before it ever began. The trial lasted 2 minutes and 39 seconds when the chamber powered down and the last drone fell to the floor. The lights turned blue, indicating success. Rian stood there, breathing steady, not collapsing, not shaking, just standing. Walked out of the chamber and faced the audience above, waiting. The board above displayed the time, the reaction score, and the outcome. Material past new record. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then voices exploded across the gallery, not laughter, not mockery, but awe. Instructor Creel spoke softly to the headmaster. Beside him, he thought he needed alien tools to keep up, but all he needed was the chance to use his own unseen speed. After the trial, the Academy changed it, did not announce it formally. There were no proclamations or recorded amendments to the training doctrine, but something fundamental shifted. The way cadets looked at Ryan changed. The instructors no longer saw him as an anomaly. Instead, they began to treat him as an example. But the greatest change came not from the students or the staff. It came from the scientists deep within the research wing. A group of neurobiology experts gathered around Ryan's trial data. They had reviewed hundreds of cadet performances, but his movements defied patterns. He was not just fast, he was preemptive. His body reacted before the simulations delivered the full signals. The lead scientist, Dr. Vern, was a long-limbed biped from the species called Dar. Their minds processed information through layered neuron webs, allowing them to see data across multiple timelines. They had never seen a human neural map in this kind of detail before, and what they discovered made them freeze. This cannot be random, Dr. Vern whispered, pointing to the skin. See this node, it lights up before the optic signal even reaches the processing cortex. Impossible, said another researcher, but the evidence was clear. Dr. Vern requested Ryan to return to the lab for further study, and when he arrived they explained the situation. Without embellishment, your brain is reacting before the visual data reaches your conscious mind. It is as if your instincts override the normal pathway and move your body before logic gets involved. Vedrian sat quietly, processing the words you are saying. It is not just training, no, it is evolution. Dr. Vern Replete explained that humans evolved on a world filled with rapid predators and violent shifts in environment. Their survival demanded more than logic, it demanded reflexes. That ignored thought itself. Theory was that in situations of true stress some humans could tap into this ancient survival circuit, and Ryan had done it better than any unrecorded. News of this spread once again through the Academy, but this time it reached beyond. A visiting delegation from the Coalition fleet arrived to observe Ryan in action. They wanted to witness what many still believed was exaggeration or carefully edited recordings. A new test was prepared, this time on a Coalition-class warship. Used for training real combat officers, Ryan would be placed in the command chair during a simulated ambush with live reaction scoring and audience observation. The simulation would use artificial threats, moving at speeds known to exceed baseline species reflexes. In the day of the test, Ryan walked onto the bridge simulation deck, his expression calm and steady. The officers in the observation bay leaned forward, watching screens that displayed his vitals, brain activity, and visual tracking systems. Lights dimmed. The simulation began without warning. Enemy fleet appearing off starboard. 30 clicks. Deploying drones. Hyperspeed evasive pattern initiated. Power surge on deck for artificial hull breach. Oxygen purge. Crew disorientation. Simulated heat flare. Simulated fire containment system offline. Rerouting power core. Simulated instability. AI pilot shut down. Manual override required. Removed. His fingers flew across the console, rerouting energy channels, sealing fake breaches. Real sweat rolled down his back, but his eyes never wavered. Drones appeared on screen, and he activated point defense without waiting for targeting confirmation. Sensors overloaded with fake debris, but Ryan's hands found the sequence that isolated actual threats. The observers watched in stunned silence. The simulator through chaos after chaos into the system, changing enemy tactics, increasing pressure, scrambling signals. Ryan leaned forward, his voice steady as he spoke to the simulated crew. Focus on sectors 3 and 7. Reroute visual feeds through engineering filter. Initiate cold boot on targeting node. We don't need vision to shoot, we need rhythm. Fired in bursts, perfectly timed. At the end of the simulation, when the smoke cleared, the score appeared above the bridge display in 100% survival, 0 delay reactions, 0 ship damage. The observers stood. One of them, Commander Threx, stepped forward and spoke loudly for all to hear. How is this possible? He has no neural link, no augment, no AI assistant. Fleet director replied slowly, watching Ryan through the glass. Because he does not need thermometer. That evening Ryan sat alone by the training yard, watching the artificial sun set over the Academy walls. His thoughts were quiet. Not pride, not triumph, just a strange calm, as if something long hidden inside him had finally been allowed to breathe. Instructor Creel approached, sitting beside him without speaking. At first you have done something unexpected. You forced a galaxy to reconsider what it means to be human. Ryan looked at him and asked, we did they ever think we were slow? Because you walk with purpose instead of rush. Creel answered, because your people are calm even in crisis, and many mistake calm for weakness, but not anymore. Ryan said no. Creel replied, not anymore. Burn for pressure. After the impressive simulation aboard the Coalition-class warship, word of Ryan Mercer's abilities spread quickly, not just within the Academy, but across many species in the galaxy. Many began to question what made humans so different, and why had they been underestimated for so long. Scientists from various disciplines started to examine human biology more closely, focusing on the hidden mechanisms that allowed for such rapid reactions under pressure. The professor of evolutionary biology at the Academy, Dr. Loris, explained that humans evolved on a planet teeming with danger, predators that hunted with lightning speed, unpredictable weather that could change in moments, and terrain that required constant vigilance. These conditions forced humans into a species that could survive by relying on split-second instincts rather than calculated logic. The adrenaline response in humans was unique, explained Dr. Loris. When under threat, their nervous systems released chemicals that heightened senses, increased muscle response, and triggered an almost automatic fight or flight mode. This reaction bypassed slower conscious thought, allowing for actions that seemed instantaneous to observers from other species. Ryan listened intently. During the briefings he realized that what the galaxy had failed to see was not weakness, but a different kind of strength, a raw primal power hidden beneath a calm exterior, a power born from a need to survive when every second mattered. At the Academy arranged new tests to explore this human advantage. These were designed to mimic extreme pressure scenarios where not only speed but emotional control and decision-making under stress mattered. The cadets were surprised to find Ryan excelled in every test, moving with a fluidity and precision that looked effortless but was backed by deep resilience. Among the tests was one where the room simulated a volcanic eruption. With tremors shaking the floor, toxic gases filling the air, and visibility dropping to near zero, Ryan led a team of mixed species through the simulation, guiding them calmly while reacting instantly to new hazards. His ability to keep focus and act fast saved simulated lives and earned him respect beyond measure. Scientists also studied Ryan's heart rate and brain waves under stress. His pulse remained steady even as danger escalated. His brain activity showed a remarkable balance between instinctive reflexes and higher cognitive functions. This balance allowed him to make complex decisions quickly, without being overwhelmed by panic or confusion. Revelations about human biology began to change the way alien commanders viewed Terran troops. Many began lobbying to include more humans in frontline roles, and emergency response teams. Their unique ability to perform under extreme pressure made them invaluable in situations where traditional technology or cybernetics failed. Ryan himself was invited to participate in strategic meetings, discussing how to incorporate human tactics and reflex training into the wider military doctrine. This was a turning point not just for him, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. Despite the newfound respect, Ryan remained humble. He understood that his abilities were part of something much larger, a collective legacy of human survival and adaptation. He often thought about his family back on Earth, the struggles they faced and the resilience that had been passed down through generations. An evening, as he trained alone in the Academy's zero-gravity chamber, he reflected on what had brought him here. The endless drills, the ridicule, the moments of doubt, and the breakthroughs that followed. Each step had shaped him into more than just a cadet. He was becoming a symbol of human potential. A fellow cadet approached him. It was Alu, the MERN technician who had been his partner in the emergency drill. They spoke quietly about the future and what it might hold for humans in the galaxy. Alu said, "You are not just fast. You are born for pressure, and that is something even our technology cannot replicate." Tyrion smiled, knowing that the journey was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever came next with the steady calm and rapid reflexes that defined him as a humanist of the elite. The announcement came suddenly. The Academy declared that Ryan Mercer had earned the right to enter the Elite Reaction Trial, a grueling contest designed to test the fastest and most precise cadets from across the galaxy. This was no ordinary test. It was a showcase of reflexes, cognition, and endurance, all pushed to their limits, and it attracted the best of the best cadets. From cybernetic species, neural-linked collectives, and genetically enhanced warriors had dominated this trial for decades. Their reflexes were enhanced beyond normal limits. Their neural connections allowed split-second calculations, and their bodies were engineered for peak performance. Many doubted that a human could compete, let alone win. Ryan stood quietly in the preparation chamber, his mind calm despite the weight of expectation. The chamber was a stark room, with only the essential equipment: a console, a biometric scanner, and a wide doorway leading to the trial arena. The walls hummed with power, and the air smelled faintly of ozonith. Head instructor appeared, his face stern, but with a hint of respect. Cadet Mercer, you are about to face challenges designed for the galaxy's elite. This trial is not a simulation, but a physical test of your limits. Your score will be measured on speed, accuracy, and adaptability. No external enhancements allowed, only your natural body and reflexes. Ryan nodded firmly. Understand. Chamber doors opened, and the arena revealed itself, a complex maze of obstacles, threats, and challenges that shifted unpredictably. Walls moved, narrow pathways appeared and disappeared. Laser rays swept the floor and ceiling, while drones darted unpredictably throughout the space. Ryan's eyes adjusted quickly. His muscles red-eyed. Countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Trial started with a sudden burst of light and sound. The first obstacle was a rapidly descending panel, forcing Ryan to dive forward and roll under it. His fingers moved fast, shutting down a nearby drone that launched a foam projectile toward his head. The walls began to close and forcing him to sprint through a narrowing passage, where sensors triggered a series of spikes. He timed his jumps perfectly as he progressed. The challenges intensified. Gravity shifted, causing him to run on walls and ceilings, his body adapting to the changing forces. Without hesitation, the laser grids flickered, and Ryan moved in smooth arcs, ducking, weaving, and leaping, while scanning for the next threat. A drone appeared suddenly from behind, shooting a burst. Ryan spun in midair, catching it with his left hand, crushing it before it could strike again. The crowd watching through the transparent panels gasped at his speed and precision. The trial incorporated puzzles demanding rapid thinking as well as reflexes. Ryan faced a panel displaying a complex sequence of symbols. He had to input the correct order before time ran out. His eyes scanned the panel as his hands moved swiftly, inputting the sequence, flows liberating, steady, and controlled. He pressed forward through the trial, each step bringing new surprises. The floor shifted beneath him, and he had to jump across platforms that moved unpredictably. A sudden burst of simulated fire erupted, forcing him to dive and cover under a protective shield. The entire trial lasted nearly 5 minutes, but to the observers, it seemed like a blur of motion and sound. Ryan's every movement was fluid, controlled, and powerful. No hesitation, no wasted energy, just pure focus and speed. At the end, the arena lights dimmed, and the score display lit up. New record: fastest completion time, highest accuracy. Silence filled the chamber for a moment before applause erupted from the crowd above the arena. The headmaster himself rose to his feet, applauding. Instruct Creel approached Ryan with a rare smile. You have not only met, but shattered every expectation. Cadet Mercer, the galaxy has never seen a human perform at this level. Ryan simply nodded, his eyes calm as he caught his breath. The trial was more than just a test, it was a message to every species watching, that humans were no longer the underdogs, no longer the species to be doubted or dismissed. They had arrived. As Ryan walked out of the chamber, he felt a new sense of purpose, a responsibility to show that human potential was limitless, and that calm precision combined with raw instinct was a power the galaxy had underestimated. For too long, no slow, just human. The halls of the academy were buzzing with energy, but this time it was different. There was a new respect in the air. Ryan Mercer had become more than a cadet. He was a symbol of what humans truly were. Not slow, not weak, but steady and fierce when it mattered most. Aliens had expected a brash and impulsive human. Instead, they saw calm control mixed with lightning reflexes. Ryan stood before a group of new cadets in the training hall. The walls were lined with displays showing past trials and legendary warriors. His voice was steady as he addressed the eager faces from dozens of species. Humans are often misunderstood. He began, because we do not rush, because we watch and wait, because in our history, survival was not about speed alone, it was about knowing when to act and when to stay calm. Paused and looked into the eyes of his listeners. A reaction time is not just about fast fingers or quick eyes, it is about a readiness built from generations of facing danger. Without advanced technology, we learn to trust our instincts, to move before thought catches up. Because in those moments, waiting is low. Seeing the young alien cadet raised a hand and a scared bit. Why do you not move fast all the time? If speed is your strength, Ryan smiled and said, because rushing without reason leads to mistakes. We wait until it matters, we prepare, and then we strike fast with purpose. The crowd nodded, some murmured in agreement, others thoughtful and curious. No, the academy and the galaxy at large began to embrace the human way. The training programs were revised to include human reflex drills and stress management techniques. Ryan helped develop new modules teaching cadets how to harness calm under pressure and strike with precision. Humans were assigned to special emergency response units. Their ability to react quickly without panicking made them perfect for frontline rescue missions and high-risk combat zones. Alien commanders started requesting human cadets to join their teams, understanding that human reflexes and calm could turn the tide in impossible situations. Ryan often thought about the journey he had taken from the mocked slow human to the fastest cadet in the galaxy. He remembered the doubts, the whispers, the laughter, but most of all he remembered the calm inside that never left him. One day, as he stood on the observation deck, overlooking the training fields, Instructor Creel joined him. You have changed everything, Creel said quietly. No one expects humans to be slow anymore, Ryan replied, because you showed them the truth. Ryan nodded, looking at the horizon beyond the stars, a future filled with possibility where humans were no longer underestimated, but celebrated for their unique gifts. Galaxy had learned that speed was not just how fast you moved, but how fast you could think and act when it truly mattered. And in that moment, humans were unmatched. As the stars twinkled overhead, Ryan whispered to himself, we are not slow, we are just humans. Calm before the storm. The academy was never the same after Ryan Mercer proved what humans could do. The whispers of doubt turned into conversations of respect and curiosity. Aliens who once laughed now watched closely, eager to understand the secret behind human reflexes. Ryan stood at the center of this change, a symbol not just of speed, but of something deeper, something unseen. Walked through the training yards where new cadets practiced drills designed with human techniques. His eyes caught the determined faces of young aliens pushing themselves harder than ever before. Some tried to mimic the calm focus that Ryan carried naturally, others struggled, but the idea had taken root and was growing. Ryan remembered the early days, the doubts, the isolation, the heavy burden of proving more than just himself, but an entire species. He thought about the calm mornings on Earth, the quiet before storms, the steady heartbeat of life that had trained humans to move not out of haste, but from deep instinct and purpose. As the galaxy embraced this truth, human units were called to missions that required more than technology. They needed minds that could stay clear in chaos, hands that could move before danger became visible, and hearts steady enough to face what others could not. Rian had become an instructor, teaching these principles to a new generation. The students learned that true power was not in rushing blindly, but in mastering the calm before the storm and trusting their instincts to guide them through the fastest moments of life and death. As final words to the cadets echoed through the house, remember, it is not about being the fastest all the time. It is about knowing when to move. It is about being ready when the moment demands everything from you, because being human means having the strength to wait and the courage to act at just the right time. The galaxy had finally understood that humans were not slow but uniquely made for moments when speed mattered most. They were the calm in the storm, the unseen force that changed battles and saved lives. As Ryan looked up at the stars shining bright beyond the academy walls, he smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. We're human, and we move when it counts, and